Hi, my name is Matt Carroll with World Class Coaching, and with the help of Academy Sports Coach 2025, I want to talk to you about a session that I designed today to work on off-the-ball movement. I think a lot of times for off-the-ball movement, we look to like passing patterns, and that makes sense for the dynamic of showing similar instances of when to make a run, what could that run look like, how does that run affect the opposition, and I think they're really solid for that aspect. Because essentially learning what we're looking for is players to create in their heads images of instances happening, and then allowing their brains when the game occurs that they can pick up on those images, create similarities, and say this is similar to that instance, and this is what I did in that instance, and this is what I can use in this instance. So essentially we're supplying players with a toolkit of information that they can utilize, and their brains can then compute and bring into the game. But I think sometimes we need to work, once we have that established, it's really important to work on players and being able to be creative within that and have them recognize their own patterns and create their own patterns and find things that work for them. So that's what this session is kind of, I'd say this is a session, maybe a follow-up session you would utilize if you're doing something where you're starting with off-the-ball movement and teaching passing patterns. And this is more of being able to take those and then implement them or to find your own solutions to unique problems. So maybe a follow-up session to that initial pattern session or off-the-ball movement session, however you're doing it. So one thing I've really found that I do enjoy, and I think it kind of motivates them, is you have a line which the player can't pass. And let's say you have, maybe your goalies are a good example for this, since they can use their hands. And then I have players, attacking players here on this side of the grid. And then I have some defenders here as well. And they're going to man mark the players in black here. They're going to be one-on-one with them. And what we're working on here is just being creative and losing your mark, and creating separation between the person marking you. This is great for corners. This is great for strikers. It's just developing the technical footwork and the thought process, and it also involves spatial awareness, because if you have enough people in this grid, what you're going to find is there's not a lot of room to move. There's not a lot of space, so that they're using picks and things like that. They're using the space available to them to create that separation. So what you've got, I've done it with football in the past. It can be a soccer ball, but we're eliminating the receiving part of it, and it's just this player is going to try to lose their mark. Maybe they run across their face, so the player in yellow can't follow them. And if they are able to catch a ball thrown by the goalie here, then they score a point, or they score a point, or you can have them come out and be another thrower, so the attacking team has additional throwers and more opportunities to catch the ball. So one way you can do it is there's point value, so how many catches you have, how many points you have. The defender, if you drop it or the defender is able to deflect it, they get 1 point for drop, 2 points for deflection. Or you can do it the faster, the team that is able to get their team out the fastest. So this player catches it, now they're a thrower, now you got 2 throwers and 2 players, and it opens things up a little bit more for them, but obviously there's more defenders, so they have to work a little harder, but you have more options to pass from them. So again, I think it's just like a fun little activation thing, but we're getting them to visualize losing their mark, creating space, being open. If the player can reach their hand out and deflect it, you're not really open, right? You're trying to create more separation, but even just the footwork of feints, dodges, dummy moves, head fakes, getting the opposition to move one way so you can go and drive to another to create separation in space. So from there, what I would do is I'm going to have a couple goals here. So let's say, now we're kind of doing the same thing in a way, but we're introducing the ball into the game in terms of soccer-specific ball. Obviously, we had a ball in the last drill, but so there's 3 goals, and the defenders are defending these 3 goals. What you've got now is 6 players in black. 3 are in the grid. And 3 are outside of the grid with balls. And the players that are not in the grid have the balls at their feet, and the players in black are looking to receive. Now, we don't want to make it that we're just creating a bunch of 1v1s. So what we're going to say is we're going to limit the players in black. Once they receive, they have 5 touches, maybe if you're really challenging them, 3 touches, but they have only so many touches before they have to get a shot off at one of these little nets. We should definitely create like a buffer zone so yellow can't just stand on them. Or maybe we add a 4th goal so there's not enough goals for them to be able to defend all the goals. But so essentially what will happen here is we're looking for off-the-ball movement. We're looking for visual and verbal cues, so we're communicating with people outside. But let's say the defender steps here. They're not looking for this pass, backside here, and we find a finish. All right, so we're looking to exploit the space that's available. Oops, the wrong way. We're looking to exploit the space that's available. We're looking to play on a 360 plane, find ways to get open, find ways to create space, find ways that we know, hey, I might think I'm open, but this player doesn't think they can get me the ball. How can I make this a little better so that they may be able to see me a little better? Maybe they can. They see they have a better angle and they're more comfortable making that pass. So then I would flip. Players on the outside become players on the inside. The defenders go to the outside, and the players that were in the inside become the defenders. And we just flip that way, and we keep a rotation going of players trying to work through this. So I think it's a lot of movement, a lot of off-the-ball movement, a lot of a 360 view where it's not just totally one-directional or two-directional where you're going attacking, defending, and you're using that chaos in that space to kind of lose your defender. So we're utilizing a lot of things we just worked on in the first drill, the movement, the jukes, the feints, and stuff like that, the ability to get open. But now we're doing it in the context of a game. We're going to goal, and we're utilizing the ball in the drill. So where I would go from here, clear all this out. I would do field split in half here, or no, we can do. I was thinking about this. I had something else I was going to bring in, but I like this idea. So we have a 3v6 here. 3v6. So we're going to bring in 6 yellow defenders. I get it. I need to actually click. One, 6. And we'll have breakout goals for them, so they are working on, they do have an ability to score. So they have breakout goals here. But we're going to have a big goal here with the goalie. And what we're going to do is we're going to have 3 players in black on the outsides. So they can move wherever they want. They can move anywhere they want as long as they're not in the grid. Okay. So we got players in yellow. They're working on their line, but we can have all of the 3 players on the outside. Only one of them can enter the game at a time. So let's say we move the ball here. This player passes here. This shifts the defense. This person steps here. This person steps here to mark. They look to cover. Okay, maybe they were here. And what we find now is that movement, that pass moves the defense. It allows us to create a gap here, play a ball over. This player enters the grid. They're communicating with their teammates, telling them that they're going to be the one entering. And we've got a ball, open net, and we find a finish. So we're looking for opportunities, kind of stepping back and looking at the bigger picture as the players on the outside, taking that step back to be able to see the field and make those decisions, and kind of slowing things down and seeing how they work. But again, they're getting a bigger picture, but they have to react quickly to be able to make it effective, because the game's constantly changing. They might go and it's not there anymore. So it's giving them that perspective and that bird's eye view of how their runs can be effective without making them focus on like their aspect, their part of the game. They could be receiving a pass or things like that. And again, just making more of a 360 visual view of the players, field vision, so they can see these kind of things and see how they can develop and work out for them. So from what I would do is I would work into my scrimmage, all right, and again working on off-ball movement, really focusing on those things and highlighting those things as I coach. Maybe not worrying less about defensive side or how we're defending, but really working on and highlighting and talking about the off-the-ball movement. So I'd love to hear in the comments section some of the things you do, maybe some of the things you do, like the football drill that you do that are kind of out out of the realm of a regular drill. It's not something players normally feel, but it gives them a little bit more of a different way of bringing a different perspective in. Like I used to bring players in to play basketball to work on off the ball movement, just like you did with the football drill. So what are some of the things you guys do that are a little different and off the beaten path for teaching these kind of concepts? So once again, my name is Matt Carroll, World Class Coaching, and with the help of Academy Sports Coach 2024, 2025, I hope this session finds you well.